On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. I hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Constitution is definitely being challenged right now. We're going to find out how great this document truly is. I believe in it. I believe in us. I think we've got a lot of what it's going to take to do this, but we do have a bit of a road to travel, but we are making progress. I've got some things to share in regards to all that. Got some news, good news, bad news, everything in between. Judges obviously involved. This is a particular judge here is one of the judges blocking him, and this was a picture of him during the COVID court cases. I thought it was rather emblematic of the bigger picture. All said, a lot to talk about. Let's jump right into it. I wanted to start with a great picture. I've actually never been to D.C. at all, hence thus far, never been inside the Oval Office. I look forward to the day because it will, of course, arrive at some point. But here's a fun little picture. I guess he's added some new photos, and I don't know, for those of you like me that haven't really ever seen it before, this was kind of a cool little image they did. You know what's funny is you could take that exact same video and put like friggin' circus music in the background, right, going on in the background. Totally changes the complete and total meaning of that, right? But when you add that music that's so well chosen, Dan Scavino, rock star, love the dude. Thank you, well done, sir. I got a couple fun things to share before we get into the nitty gritty. This was a great example of another individual on the left waking up. And what I found to be most exciting about this particular take isn't so much the fact that it's somebody that's once on the left and is finally kind of waking up. And I find this to actually be waking up because I think we've got people on the right that are just as asleep as everyone on the left. You just happen to be, Republican. That just lucked out, I guess. But this is really the separation between the way they think, the thinking on this moral superiority of the left versus us heathens. And I thought the dude did such an eloquent job kind of explaining this. So, Matt Van Swoll, and I've shared his stuff before, says, I'm angry this morning. I feel like I've just woken up from a dream where everything I thought I knew about good and evil has been flipped upside down. Where the good guys were the ones I was told by a liberal media to hate. And the bad guys, well, it was me. I judged you and didn't do any research to learn if I was right or wrong. I thought I was better than you, and I never even met you. I thought you should be censored because your thoughts were dangerous. I was polite in public, but I secretly hated you. I knew deep down that being good was more than just using the right pronouns for someone or saying to a group of people that you thought Trump was a bad person. But it's easier to do than it is to actually do good. He says, that's easier to do. He says, I think for people, that's the number one thing most people on the right don't understand about the left. On the left, being good requires only a checklist of beliefs. If you say you believe in the right things, you are left alone. You pass their test and are now considered a good person. It has almost nothing to do with your outward actions. In a normal world, actions equal accountability. If you do something wrong, I can lovingly correct you. We can argue. We can grow and learn together. On the left, this dialogue is almost non-existent. You either say the right thing, or you are a bigot, racist, unkind, totally backwards, and on the wrong side of history. This does not generate growth in a person. It actually generates a bizarre form of morality in which saying the acceptable things creates a fictional, moral force field around you. Dialogue is lost. Dissenters are not tolerated. Saying things is easy. Doing real good in the world, well, that's really hard. So you take the easy path. This is how many people who truly mean well, who want to do the right thing, end up caught in an endless loop of ever-increasing posturing and wokeness. It started from a place of tolerance and kindness, then the goalposts for kindness moved, and you were left behind. And that's exactly where many of these people come to. They meant it. They started off on the right foot. They actually did start off as good people. They just stopped caring about what others thought. And we are very possibly and very likely going to end up in the same place if we don't remember common ground, if we don't remember to reach out and extend that olive branch and hopefully grab their hands as they're reaching out to grab ours. Because as it is right now, there is a peeling apart that's occurring. And we're only going to keep what we can with us. And again, I think it's complex and hard to explain, but it's literally two separate timelines. It's two separate ideologies. I think we've got roughly 3 different forms of kind of civilization right now. There's sort of a hybrid mixture of machine-human, which I know sounds crazy, but when you think of AI and all that kind of stuff and the way people are literally asking AI questions and then walking away, AI said this, it must be true. It's like, holy crap. So there is this movement of humans and machine, and then there's the spiritual human evolution movement. These two, I think, are going to come together, though we're probably going to have a hard time making sense of things. But you guys will do it faster. But the other side of it's going to be people that aren't going to make it through or aren't going to choose to go through this doorway themselves because it's going to require them to self-reflect and accept that they maybe aren't always right. And again, that's the one thing that I really find interesting about. It's mostly Democrats, but I definitely see it with some Republicans. But there's this sense, and I see it with Christians a lot, there is this sense of such extreme confidence that you are righteous and you are correct, that anybody else that has a thought that maybe is interesting and you should at least listen to, but you don't agree or it doesn't fit in the wheel that you run on, well, then I'm not going to waste my time. And so there's this weird closeness that we do. And again, I've come to find the more that I've learned to be true, the more I've realized I don't know. It's an odd thing, but I actually honestly think it's healthy. I try to have an open mind about a lot of things. One thing, I would say I probably have the most confirmation bias towards, one, the spiritual, evolution, the ascension that's happening, but turns out I was kind of right on that one, so I guess I'm going to give myself a break. And then the other one's the economy, and I'm starting to think we're maybe kind of right on that one too. I've been believing it, but I've been kind of wondering, is something going to happen? Maybe I'm just nuts, right? I've been talking a lot about it. I certainly put my money where my mouth is. I got my precious metals. But it's interesting where we're at. This was a final powerful thing, and then we'll get into some major news. But Candace Owens did a pretty solid job on this, and I think she was one of the people tied up in some of the money coming from Russians or whatever the hell, but still a good point what she's making here. And I want to remind people, and this is something that I think both sides also hold on to, is the idea that somebody can hurt your feelings, that someone can hurt your feelings through what they say or what they talk about. And that's absurd. It just is. The only way feelings get hurt is when I take something that somebody said, I internalize it, and then somehow I either agree, disagree, whatever, but then through that, I decide that this bothers me, hurts me, or whatever. It's a process that we do to ourselves. It's not a process people do to us. And it's one of the things that's also very unfortunate on this planet is nobody wants to take responsibility for their own situation. Nobody does. It's so much easier to blame other people for what we and who we and where we are at right now. So this is one of the many things that the ascension process is going to require. It is a prerequisite. It is a mandatory. And for those of us that are unable to do this, we will get nudged. And we will get batted, and it will continue to happen. And if we can't get in line, those battings are going to get a little bit harder, and it's going to happen to us through weird ways in our own unique way. And at some point, it might just be, might just be ignored, and maybe we don't make it. So she's talking about something that's very powerful, talking about trying to get people healthier. I've got some more stuff with Kennedy talking much the same, and they want to use drugs instead because that's easier. It doesn't require me to do anything. I don't have to go to the gym. I don't have to change how I eat. I can just get a shot and lose weight. That is the true sloth of us all. And so she's sort of speaking on some of that and how she'd rather help people be healthy than this whole pretense that you can't say things because you're going to hurt somebody's feelings. No.
I don't believe hate speech exists. There's no such thing as hate speech?
No. So your feelings were hurt when I said that only women can give birth. That's hurt speech. Your feelings were hurt when I said the fat acceptance movement is unacceptable. That's hurt speech, right?
So you're not saying it's because you don't hate.
Actually, what you should hate is the lie that's making you think that there's glory in being clinically obese when in fact it's the number one killer in America. That's what you should hate. You should hate the lie. The truth might hurt. Truth does in fact hurt, but it's not hateful, right? So it's hurt speech. And
So
do I engage in hurt speech?
Yes.
Yes. Do people get their feelings hurt? Yes.
You hurt a lot of people's
But I am not
feelings,
engaging in
Candace.
hate speech because I don't hate a fat person. I want them to be better. I don't hate a person that is suffering from gender dysphoria. I want them to know you are suffering from a mental disorder and I want you to get better.
So you get to live with a different level of freedom than most because you don't care how you make up.
And it was that last part that got me all fired up. I don't care if I make other people feel a certain way because I realize I don't make people feel anyway. That's not how it happens. I treat people, and that's different when you one-on-one, right? If I treat somebody poorly, then they should never want to be around me again. But, treat unto others or do unto others as you wish to be done unto yourself. It's certainly the golden rule. But talking about things that might, making fun of people even for that matter. Straight to their face even maybe sometimes. Because they're positions of power and they've got this smugness about them and whatever. I feel like somebody needs to pop them in the nose in a figurative sense. So what? And that's the thing. And for any of you guys that are going to get into this racket, if you will, there's always going to be somebody that gets hurt. Always. Somebody's going to get butt hurt over something you say. In fact, sometimes it'll be a lot of people. It's always going to happen. No matter how careful and cautious you are, it will always happen. So it's a beautiful thing, what she's talking about. All right, let's start getting into some news and start speeding up the pace a teeny bit. Julian's Rum shared this with us, and I thought it was pretty interesting. He said the night before John Hinckley shot Reagan, Neil Bush, the son of George H.W. Bush, had dinner plans with Scott Hinckley, John Hinckley's brother. The morning of 9/11, George H.W. Bush attended a Carlisle group event where he met with Shafig bin Laden, Osama bin Laden's brother. Facts are a funny thing, aren't they? They truly are. DNI Gabbard says at President Trump's directive, she has revoked security clearance for the following people: Anthony Blinken, Jake Sullivan, Lisa Monaco, Mark Zaid, Norman Eisen, Letitia James, Alvin Bragg, Andrew Weissman, and all the 51 signers of the Hunter Biden disinformation letter. Cherry on top, the president's daily brief is no longer being provided to former President Biden. Those days are done. Mike Johnson had a big vote gonna happen today, did happen today. Our wonderful dickhead friend failed us. And he's in Lindsey Graham's camp permanently, I think now. He would have to do some sort of outrageous stuff. We'll get to Thomas Massey and my sheer disgust for that pile of shit. But, and for any of you guys in Kentucky, not trying to rip on one of your people, but McConnell's an idiot too. So we got to fix Kentucky, it sounds like. Needless to say. Mike Johnson talking about it and talking about the fact that the government was about to shut down and they're trying to keep that from happening and how all the Democrats are voting to shut down the government when they've always staunchly been opposed to it. He does a great job putting these two videos together. Well done, Mr. Johnson. But here it is for you.
More efficient now. They're planning to vote down this simple bill. They are going to try to shut the government down. Every House Democrat will participate in this. It looks like that would be a shame if it's true. I hope some of them will have a moment of clarity themselves and do the right thing, but it looks like they're going to try to shut down the government. It's a striking new posture for Democrats who have always said they've just been apoplectic about the prospect of government shutdowns. I put a video out about an hour ago on social media. I encourage you to go see that. They have been their own words. You don't need to trust us on this.
We believe in governance. We want to keep government open. A shutdown is very serious.
There are real consequences when the government shuts down. It harms our national security, it harms our economy, and it harms service members, veterans, retirees, and vulnerable communities.
We all know a shutdown is unnecessary and completely avoidable.
The tragedy here is all the civilian employees. It is the American people who are going to suffer.
Border Patrol agents will not be paid. TSA agents will not be paid. Small businesses will be hurt.
Not only is it irresponsible and purposely misleading, it is dangerous precedent to be threatening a shutdown.
I'm worried about our air controllers, those in the military. We have over almost 40,000 in the military, as well as personnel who work in the military, and they won't have checks. I mean, this is real.
There are real people's lives at stake.
It is not normal to hold 800,000 workers' paychecks hostage. It is not normal to shut down the government when we don't get what we want.
Our troops deserve better. Our children deserve better. And the American people deserve better.
These chaos agents, they don't have a plan B. They just want to see everything burn.
Shutdown is an extremist policy designed to appeal to an extremist base and hold the whole country hostage.
So if this shutdown, you know who's going to feel the pain? You know who it hurts? You.
Yeah, what's changed? What's changed? Now it's different. Now it hurts our president, I guess. And I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. The shutdown possibly hurts the organization in charge. I don't know. We're going to find out. And we will talk about that coming up. President Donald Trump declined to explicitly rule out a full-blown recession for the U.S. economy this year, telling Maria Bartiromo in a recent post at Sunday Morning Futures. I think I played it yesterday. And we don't have the video here. But he says, I hate to predict things like that. He said, as far as a recession, he goes, there is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. It takes a little time, but I think it should be great for us. So he's saying, yeah, no recession per se, but there's going to be a bump in the road. Now, stocks have flattened out a little bit at this point as of recording, which is almost noon Pacific time. Dow Jones is still down chunk. It went down a bunch yesterday, went down a lot this morning. Again, I think it's purchased back some of its losses, if you will. And it is sort of something that's funny is a lot of people talk about how much money was lost. I saw a post very early this morning talking about the trillions of dollars that were just removed from the Dow. But a lot of it ended up back in there, right? And the same thing that happens when crypto loses gobs of money at one point in time. It seems to ultimately end up back in there, maybe under a different coin, but oftentimes it's moving around for sure. All said, gold's, of course, up as well. It's up 24 cents. Oil is up. It was actually down overall, so it's doing well. But Dow Jones is still down, still negative, and is having some, it was, about 2 hours ago, I guess? Looks like it was down at its lowest. So, it's what's happening. It's the way it is. So Dow trims losses after Ukraine agrees to U.S.-led ceasefire plan. So we have a lot of that, and somehow peace causes the stock market to go down. Think of that for a second. Again, it's a war economy to a large extent. President Trump's going to address the top executives at a business roundtable today. Let's hear about that.
Yesterday. No, terrible day on Wall Street yesterday. And when you look at this big picture, President Trump has much, much better job security as somebody that never needs to run for re-election again than these CEOs have, because they have to answer to shareholders and to boards. And so later on today, coming for some reassurances, are the leaders of IBM and HP and Intel and Qualcomm. And so far, Republicans in Congress are overwhelmingly on board with the president's tariff strategy. And for the most part, business leaders who knew this was going to be happening, at least the tariff part, because President Trump said it was, have been with them too. When you look at this post-inauguration day conference board measure of CEO confidence, it found 44% of CEOs said economic conditions were better than 6 months ago. That's up 20%. 52% of CEOs expected conditions in their own industries to improve over the next 6 months. That's up from 31% in quarter four last year. And 71% of CEOs are planning to raise wages by 3% or more over the course of the next year. That is up from 63% at the end of last year. President Trump has talked a lot about how he knows that his tariffs are going to cause a disruption. The thing that traders and economists are looking for now is whether or not it will also cause a recession. Back to you.
And Peter, that is the worry. Given the fact that the Wall Street, the Dow went down about 1,000 points yesterday, is the White House, are they talking to you guys and saying, okay, people need to stop fixating on that number, and they need to think about the big picture, because we've heard Elon Musk and the president both say, okay, there's going to be disruption, as you mentioned a moment ago, but long term, we're all going to be okay. It's just the short term pain that is hurting people.
Yes, and what they're telling us at the White House is once President Trump can start drilling, or get authorization to start drilling and creating more energy here in the United States, and raising revenue from some of these tariffs, and saving money with the DOGE effort, all those three things would be a boom for the economy. But all of those three things still have not happened yet, and they're counting on all those things happening together. Which, if they get their way, they have unified control of the government. No reason to think that these things can't happen, but they just are not happening right now, and that's why you are seeing nervousness on Wall Street.
Right. And of course, we got legislation, massive, one beautiful bill or two beautiful bills. Something's coming down the pike. Thanks so much,
Thank
Peter.
you so much.
So you can't really say the president's stamp is on the economy yet. It's all projections about what his policies will do.
Yeah, he says he wants.
So again, speculation all over the place about what's going to happen. Press Secretary Leavitt's talking about Trump and his period of transition that we're in. Check it out.
Caroline, a couple of questions for you, if I may. First on the stock market. So currently it's the 25th anniversary today of the dot-com bubble crash. There's a lot of concern for a lot of Americans right now about the state of the economy. President Trump has refused to rule out a recession. Secretary Lutnick, however, has told us there will not be one. So can the White House just tell and assure Americans today that there's not going to be a recession?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. So let me start by saying that, first of all, when it comes to the stock market, the numbers that we see today, the numbers we saw yesterday, the numbers we'll see tomorrow are a snapshot of a moment in time. And as President Trump has said, and I'm here to echo the remarks of this president of this White House, we are in a period of economic transition. We are in a period of transition from the mess that was created under Joe Biden in the previous administration. Joe Biden left this country in an economic disaster. Several statistics to point out. The delinquency rate on credit card loans increased 63% under Joe Biden, hitting a near 12-year high. Under Joe Biden, all net job growth went to foreign-born Americans. Real wages declined by 1.5% under Joe Biden. And as we all know, and this administration continues to combat, prices soared more than 20% under Joe Biden because of his reckless spending and economic policies. So we are in a period of transition from that economic nightmare under a president who had no idea what he was doing, never held a private sector job in his life, into a golden age of American manufacturing under a businessman and a deal maker in chief in President Donald J. Trump, who is implementing the formula that we know works. Look at President Trump's results in his first term. If people are looking for certainty, they should look at the record of this president. That's why the American people re-elected him back to this office. And look at everything that President Trump has already done and his team has already done in just 51 days. The massive efforts to deregulate. Tax cuts, which we need Congress to pass the Trump economic agenda, the Trump tax cuts, which will unleash economic growth. And the president also addressed this directly, I will point out as well, when you look at what he said on Air Force One. And he said he wants the American people to have so much money in their pockets they don't even know what to do with it. That's the intent of this administration, and we're working very hard every day on that goal.
Second question on the CEO.
And again, a lot of people are like, well, how are you guys going to make money if you don't charge taxes or have an income tax? And it's like, well, if our country's selling oil like crazy, then our country's making money like crazy, and it can sort of pay for itself. Saudi Arabia charges zero tax to any of its citizens. Zero. Why? Because they have a crap ton of oil. They don't need to. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. I've been talking about the system. I've been talking about the dollar is heavily inflated. We know that Biden took away 20% of the buying power of the dollar during his 4 years in office, which means any gains that you've gotten on the stock market that may equal 20%, you lose 20% of that in buying power because of what he's done. So stocks have kind of remained reasonably flat considering when you take in really inflation into it. Gold, on the other hand, is actually outperforming inflation, and it does. It's just one of the things that is always met as kind of the benchmark for wealth, this you can buy X with gold. I don't know what the exact breakdowns are, but there are certain things that are tied to that, and I think they just try to kind of figure out what it's worth based off of that and based off what people will pay for it, frankly. But there's a lot of aspects. Currencies are backed by it. There's a lot of things that happen. And so gold has a intrinsic value and has always. Silver as well. So these are powerful ways to protect your wealth. You're putting your wealth into something that's a lot less scary for what's going on in the world right now. Trump's going to fix and get it straightened, but there's going to be a bit of a shaking of the house or shaking of the individual and see what falls out of their pockets. And then that's when you want to, hop back in, or maybe even stay in precious metals while we root through this. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing. It's one of the great things about Goldco. They have the highest price buyback guarantee. So if you've got a 401k or an IRA, highly recommend you fill out these 4 data points. One, you're going to possibly get a free coin, assuming you got a qualified IRA or 401k. 2, up to 10% of that the value of that is free silver offered to you by Goldco. Silver is amazingly undervalued too, and if things continue to get a little weird, which they likely will, and I think building through Trump and where we head, the golden age, it's going to be awesome that we've protected our wealth and that we didn't lose it in the hiccup, but ultimately I don't think it's going to matter that much in the big picture. But it's whether or not you want to leave it in their system and risk it, or put it into a place that's going to keep it happy while we go through this. For me, the choice was easy. And these guys are awesome. They can do it quickly and easily and legally. That's the best part. Tax-free, penalty-free. They can move it sideways for you. It's physical metal. They buy physical metal with your 401k IRA money. They do it tax-free, penalty-free. That's why they move sideways with it, right? You don't get the money. That's how they tax and penalize. And you don't get the coins. That's how they tax and penalize. It's the same thing. But they keep it in a trust. It's physical. It's literally physical. Like you could say, give me my gold now, and okay, you cash it out. And that's what it would be considered, and they would send you the physical metals, period. That's how it works. There's other ways to get paid out. They can cash it out. They've actually got a legitimate precious metals IRA. It's pretty cool. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Get your 4 data points in there. Get your free stuff, your free coin, your free book, all that. And I believe they give you like 20 minutes to call. Just make sure you're ready to do that. But DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. We've talked about it. It keeps little bumps in the road keep happening. So hopefully you guys are out in front of it. Trump's energy chief has declared climate change a global physical phenomenon. And he has just reversed everything that Biden was doing, which is going to cause people to snap. It's a big part of why I put this here and why I brought it up. Is, first off, this guy says he's a climate realist, which is cool. Said the Trump administration will treat climate change for what it is, a global physical phenomenon that is a side effect of building the modern world. And that actually is funny he states it exactly as that, because we know, and at some point it's going to be kind of proven, that an overwhelming number of the temperature measuring locations actually have asphalt and things to those areas, or things that would cause it to be warmer there than it used to. Maybe it used to just have grass all around it. And then now recently they put in a parking lot which holds heats up differently than grass does. So there's a lot of factors that start to play into just where a thermometer is placed. It doesn't mean the overall temperature of the city has changed, but that particular parking lot seems to be about 1.7 degrees warmer than it was 10 years ago. And that is where some of the numbers come from. There's a lot to it, and we've not really been ever allowed to question it or ask into it. So again, this is going to cause people to freak out though. Understand that. The people that get triggered easy right now, there is lots of news coming out because we are doing the changes we're doing that are triggering them. We've seen the attacks on the Tesla facilities and everything else, which is pretty jacked up. Another anti-Musk group here getting paid. He's literally getting paid to protest DOGE. And someone was asking him, and I'm not going to play it all, but yeah, he's like, oh, hell, it's 12 seconds. What the hell? Let's do it.
Yeah, I get paid to be out here.
You get paid to be out here?
Yeah.
Amazing.
So yeah, he's getting paid to be out there, getting paid by Soros or whatever, but probably USAID money. Think about it, right? Act Blue funders include George Soros, Reid Hoffman, Herbert Sandler, Patricia Baumann, Leah Hunt Hendricks. So yeah, Act Blue is currently under investigation. So this stuff is drying up to a degree, but this is how they paid for a lot of the nonsense to make it look like everybody's against this, which again, all the people on the left that need a virtue signal, that's all they need. That's all they need. if they see one or two people out there holding signs, they're like, well, then we must be on the right side of this. And it's weird the way the mind works. That's all I can say. The Awakened Outlaw posted the official White House account responds directly to Senate Dems account who had posted in favor of freeing Mahmoud Khalil. And they responded, they said, this is the first arrest of many to come. And that was in quotes. And they're saying that President Trump is stating this. And I believe it. Judge temporarily blocks deportation of pro-Palestinian activists. Columbia grad arrested by ICE. People are losing their minds over this. It's borderline funny in the big picture. General Mike Flynn posted this. And it's pretty harsh, but it gets the point across, I guess. Send this terrorist to Rikers Island on the East River in the Bronx that has a reputation for violence, physical abuse, and neglect of its inmates. That's where they wanted to send Trump, by the way. There have also been numerous assaults by inmates, often resulting in serious injuries. Rikers Island ranks as one of the worst correctional facilities in the entire United States. That's where this guy should sit this bullshit debate out. And these out-of-control judges must stop trying to act as though they hold more power over the POTUS when it comes to issues of national security concern. They do not. And he is right. And at some point, that's where, Trump is the commander-in-chief. Trump is in charge of that. And I don't know if the Supreme Court has to kind of fall on that quickly or if Trump just literally says, I'm not going to let you do something that's illegal. I made swore to the Constitution of the United States to uphold it. And you're telling me that I can't do that, and I'm going to do that. So, sorry, I guess what you're saying is incorrect. So I don't know how we move forward from that. It'll be fun as hell, frankly. Protesters are beginning against ICE arrests at the Columbia University. Yeah, I'm not going to play it. Yeah, again, these guys are pushing for people that are illegal. And there is no senators out here. He actually calls them out for like, where are you guys at? At least we're here. But yeah, it's becoming increasingly worse for the left because they are having a hard time maintaining peaceful protests. They keep taking over buildings and taking over neighborhoods, and that's not peaceful. Sorry. That's not how it works in this country. Now, you might get away with that in certain weird places like Seattle or Columbia University, but you don't get away with that in most of the country. That is beyond legal protest. That's standing on the street corner saying, we hate you, you suck, and holding a sign and all that. That's legal protest. Blocking traffic, not legal protest. That's illegal. Getting in people's faces, screaming, making it, that's can be considered assault actually too. Especially if you accidentally touch. And that's where they get us. That's the big thing. That's why they do it. Because you'll push them, that's assault, then you're toast. That's how it works. So it's always an issue of who can get who to touch who first. And then that's who's guilty. House passed the Subterranean Border Defense Act. They're trying to pass a bill basically digging tunnels to get people and supplies and other stuff here more illegal and easier to find. So it does talk about how we need more oversight over that kind of stuff. They say the passage of this bill is a massive win for our security. With border crossings thankfully going down since January, it's safe to assume this will drive threats underneath our border through these tunnels. This legislation will ensure Congress has sufficient knowledge and oversight in regard to this dynamic threat. Obviously, that means they're going to have to start doing radars and stuff, which means anybody that's got anything weird in their backyards is pretty soon going to be seen. See, this is another one of the funny things about what's happening with this border war is we will deploy scanning radar that will allow us to see through the earth up to a particular distance. And God, it might be funny if one of those craft, I don't know, took off maybe up in LA and took off and accidentally left that scanner on while it flew over Diddy's home and Playboy Mansion or what, I'm just saying hypothetically. I don't know how close that is to the airport, but I'm sure they could make an actual flight plan work out like that. Wouldn't be hard to do if they haven't done it already, but sometimes it's harder to get a budget for it than it is to just do it and beg for forgiveness. So the, what is this? DOJ says states suing the presidents over his mass firings in the federal government. They're like, dude, you got no place to stand on this. You have nowhere to say what the federal government does when it comes to its employment. Who are you? Hello? And so he's got a huge point. I think the judge is going to have to drop this. This is U.S. District Judge James Braden. That's actually the one I used on the thumbnail. It was the only one I could find the name of. The one I wanted to use, I couldn't remember her name. And then, and that was one of the ones from earlier on that blocked him on like one of his first days. I want to say it was the sending people back to Guantanamo. I think it was her, maybe. And then he ended up saying, bah. And he just sent them straight to their country. It was pretty awesome. So that judge, I was going to be the one I showed. This was the one I actually found a name for, and then he had the picture of wearing the face mask. I'm like, dude, going with that. No one's going to recognize him, but who cares? So that's the dude. But he is... Basically, we're looking at the DOJ to deny the request of the states to restrain the Trump administration from firing a bunch of USDA people, plus there's other different lawsuits. This is going to tie into a bunch of crap. Elon Musk talking about why Democrats are outraged about DOGE. It's got a really good point.
I mean, the waste report in entitlement spending, which is which is most of the federal spending is entitlements. That's like the big one to eliminate, because that's the sort of $500 billion, maybe $700 billion a year. That is also a mechanism by which the Democrats attract and retain illegal immigrants by essentially paying them to come here, and then turning them into voters.
Yes.
So this is why the Democrats are so upset about the situation, because they're losing. If we turn off this gigantic money magnet for illegal immigrants, then they will leave, and they will lose voters. Yeah, I mean, where you'll see the biggest outcry is from the Democrats who are, they don't want the waste and fraud to be turned off because it is a gigantic magnet to attract illegal immigrants and have them stay in the country. And I mean, you see some of the crazy stuff, like where money from FEMA, which is FEMA is an agency that's meant to take care of Americans in distress. And a bunch of their money was being sent to pay for luxury hotels in New York for illegal immigrants. And that was happening even after the president was elected, even after he signed an executive order saying that needs to stop. So we actually made sure that money did stop going, because obviously it's outrageous that American taxpayer money is spent on luxury hotels for illegals. But you have to say, like, why was that being done? It was because the Democrats are trying to import voters, basically.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah. And that's also why there's no voter ID needed. In fact, in California and New York State, you're not allowed to show voter ID. Doesn't that seem insane?
Insane.
Yeah.
I'd say that as a New Yorker. It's insane.
Yeah, insane.
That's wicked insane, yo. I don't think they'd say the yo part. Maybe they would. I don't know. I barely speak New York. I can understand them. Middle finger is one of my favorite gestures, too. Counselor to President Trump, Alina Habba, calling some of the peeps out. We've got some good. I got like 3 Alina Habbas in a row here talking about all sorts of crazy stuff. Let's just hear what Alina thinks with a number of people.
You see a lot of this money going out the door, and it's very sketchy. And it always ends up in the hands of Democrats who happen to know Democrats who are handing out the money. This has to be looked into. Is the Department of Justice looking into this very severely?
I'm not going to speak for Pam Bondi. I'll tell you this. I am part of the administration. Pam Bondi is amazing. I saw Cash and Pam today for a swearing-in ceremony. Listen, these people work so hard. There is so much information that we are finding out and revealing that they're all working around the clock just to make sure we bring justice to the people that appropriately need to be brought to justice. Those are people that were stealing from the American people, that were hiding it through NGOs, that were hiding it through funds, through operas in Colombia and condoms to Gaza and all of that. Those people need to be held accountable. That's how you deter them from the future. And I can assure you that Cash and Pam will make sure of that.
I guess they should have handed out more preemptive pardons, you're saying.
Listen, by the way, I wonder if those were auto-signed as well, because I would challenge the validity of it. You never know. Listen, the guy didn't even know what he was doing, but I'll tell you, the pardons, he knew what he was doing. I said it months before. He's going to pardon himself. And yes, I almost said to the president, listen, in the joint session speech, why don't you ask everybody that got a pardon to just stand up and tell us why you got a pardon.
Well, we know Joe Biden doesn't have insomnia. We definitely saw proof of that. Alina Habba.
Yeah, and it was funny. She was talking about the condoms thing, and I laughed. My lovely girlfriend speaks 3 languages. I speak one, sort of, almost kind of baby Spanish, but so one language, and I do a poor job at that. And she was trying to talk about letting somebody see then she said condo, and then she was going to say condominium, because that's the word that she wanted to say in her mind, but she stopped at the M. So she just added an M to condo, and she said, "Yeah, so they're gonna all come see the condom." And I'm like, "Huh?" And I'm like, "You probably mean condominium, right?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I said, "You just said condom," and she started laughing because she didn't realize she said it. So it just cracked me up because that is not what she meant. Needless to say. Off subject. The only people that should be losing sleep are, not just the Democrat Party. I would like to throw McConnell under the bus. I'd like to throw Lindsey Graham under that bus. Thomas Massey, I'd like to include in this list of people. Even though he may not have stolen any money, he's still just a slimy person that I'm probably going to look for every opportunity to bring up and slime until he is no longer in office. It will become until he does something really fantastic, it's going to become my calling, I think.
I mean, the only people that should be losing sleep right now are the Democrat Party. It's the Nancy Pelosi's who we're looking at. It's the Liz Cheney's, Pocahontas. We're looking at all that stuff, and we're going to find out why you're so rich on government money. There's just so much to go into. I don't even know where to start. But who would you want running your country, Jesse? You want to get advice from Stacey Abrams and Joe Biden, who evidently signed everything with an auto signature, didn't even know what he was signing? Or do you want Elon Musk to help the commander-in-chief, and there's only one, President Donald Trump, cut waste and make us money? The man is a self-made billionaire. He ran an amazing company. He will run this country that way. So, I mean, look, the proof is in the pudding right there. I mean, the only people that should be losing...
I like pudding. It's delicious. It's delicious. Here is Alina Habba. I guess she got done filming, as she said, and they put her in Biden's studio. Biden's old fake White House. Check this out.
Guys, I just finished a show. Look at the room that they put me in. We're in Biden's fake Oval Office, everybody. And I've actually figured this out. I now know why. I now get it. Turn the camera around. There is a screen, teleprompter to the face. All I can say is the last administration was a disgrace.
Yeah, disgrace is right, which I assume she's like, what is that, Italian for disgrace? Disgrace. Yes. The balls are on their chin. DOGE and agencies canceled 200,000 federal government credit cards. They initially took them down to $1 limit. We were talking about that yesterday. Well, apparently they closed down 200,000 credit cards. That's fantastic. And again, a perfect screen test. Said a bunch of them were inactive, right? Don't all go out there and start believing stories of people saying, "Oh my God, they took away whoever's in charge of buying stuff for somebody that they died because of it." I don't know. They're gonna make up something crazy, right? Like somehow the CDC, when it buys insulin, right? It uses some sort of credit card. But this is how we've been redoing our subscriptions. Oh Lord. It's going to be crazy. Elon Musk I wish I could have gotten more of this Kudlow thing. I'm going to try to see if I can find the whole interview. It strikes me as something I would have enjoyed watching. But he was talking about the massive cyber attack on X. Rumble also talked about how they were getting DDoS pretty hard yesterday. We were talking about this yesterday. Apparently this morning they were still having some issues. And he does something very interesting here, just to preface a little. And then we're going to spend a little time talking about this, I think. But he talks about which country it seems to have originated from. And again, General Flynn talked about, let's not focus on the company. Could have been CIA, obviously. But then maybe it was them from the country that they claim. And then you got to wonder, well, how could there be a benefit for this if this country is actually the one that was behind this or housing these people? We've given, spoiler alert, $350 billion to them over the past recent while. And now they're hacking our companies and DDoSing and attacking our companies. Now, it was that one particular organization, drawing a blank on what they're called. I talked about them yesterday, and they get brought up again today. But they are still taking credit for it. But here's Elon being pretty specific about who's behind this.
There was a cyber attack on X today, which shut it down and may have been foreign sourced.
Yes.
It's a big story. You want to give us a moment on that?
Well, we're not sure exactly what happened, but there was a massive cyber attack to try to bring down the X system with IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area.
Now, the important thing is to always keep in mind that almost never are the IPs that are presented accurate when there's an actual attack happening. The only time they show IP addresses from specific locations are when they're trying to blame those specific organizations. They also do that with code sometimes. When they write malicious code that they put on machines, they'll put little snippets, little things that are emblematic of certain countries hacking. They'll put in little certain, like variable names. There's a lot of little things. I know there's some hidden comments they even do directly sometimes just to be that way. But there's some unique things that I know are done all over the place. I've known people in this business and probably gotten them to say more than they were supposed to. But yeah, I've learned a few things. Yeah, I would never be able to do this myself. This is for people that have way more time than I do, frankly, at this point, and much younger, because younger brain is what you really need to start to just get crazy with this. But yeah, we are now blaming Ukraine for this. Now, you guys remember the whole Ukraine tried to start World War III multiple times, right? They shot missiles into Poland and tried to blame Russia. They shot missiles into 2 power stations now and tried to blame Russia. One of them's not been confirmed that it was Ukraine that I've seen, but I'm sure it was Ukraine and not Russia. They've managed to do a few of these types of things and then try to blame Russia. We call them false flags here in the business. And so interesting that they're getting blamed. That the attack, albeit very legitimate, on X, false flagged to Ukraine. Now, who's going to believe that? Well, most everybody, frankly. Maybe except my audience and a few others might question this differently. I'm not saying I'm right. What I am saying is it's very strange that they're blaming Ukraine. It's convenient. It's almost too convenient. Like, it'd be great to get the rest of the population to stop supporting Ukraine. It almost feels orchestrated that way. I want to play this for you guys. I know it's a little long, but it's so beautiful. And the lyrics, In the Air Tonight. Phil Collins. Beautiful performance. Man can't perform anymore. I love music. Genesis is one of my favorite, is my favorite band, really. And Phil Collins being lumped in with that. Mike and the Mechanics, I lump in with that. I love those 3 bands tremendously. I could listen to them all day long. I love them. I mean, literally, if I had to take one band, that would probably be one I'd take, even though Floyd I'd want to be on there. I got a few. It'd be tough to. Fleetwood Mac would probably, Eagles would be on. I mean, there's so many good bands. Like, it'd be tough. Like, can I do a mixtape, maybe? I might be able to do that. That might work. I'll pick some of my favorite tunes instead of just bands. Whatever. Beautiful song. Beautiful rendition. Excellent live, and he can't do it anymore live, unfortunately. Incredible the fact that he can drum. Drumming's amazing because you're using all 4 of your... I'm moving my legs right now. I can't tell. All 4 of your body parts, right? And then he throws singing in there. That's a totally different part of the brain. This dude's brain is so beautifully wired. That is amazing to me. But pay attention to the lyrics and think about where we are right now. Because I don't know if you've noticed it, but something to drag some of you through that. I think hopefully most of you enjoyed it. Donald Trump, truth this out. Thank you to the House Freedom Caucus for just delivering a big blow to the radical left Democrats and their desire to raise taxes and shut down our country. He gets a little ahead of himself, unfortunately. They hate America and all it stands for. That's why they allowed millions of criminals to invade our nation. Sometimes it takes great courage to do the right thing. Congressman Thomas Massie of beautiful Kentucky is an automatic no vote on just about everything, despite the fact that he has always voted for continuing resolutions in the past. He should be primaried, and I will lead the charge against him. He's just another grandstander who's too much trouble and not worth the fight. He reminds me of Liz Cheney before her historic record-breaking fall. The people of Kentucky won't stand for it, and just watch. Do I have any takers? Anyways, thank you again to the House Freedom Caucus for your very important vote. We need to buy some time in order to make America great again, greater than ever before. Unite and win. Well, it didn't go well. The votes happened. Well, sort of, I think. I don't fully understand it, but we'll get there. Congressman Thomas Massie voted to delay the debt ceiling bill from the Biden administration to the Trump administration from September before the election to June after the election, without getting anything for this horrendously stupid move when Republicans could have gotten everything they wanted. He additionally voted to delay the current budget disaster from the Biden administration to the Trump administration. I was running for office at the time, doing my thing, and when I heard about this, it was quite simply hard to believe. A catastrophic mistake. Now, in virtually on every other vote, he is a very simple no. He can't even approve a continuing resolution when he approved them many times during his career as a congressman. Thomas Massie is a grandstander, and the great people of Kentucky are going to be watching a very interesting primary in the not-too-distant future. I have nothing good to say about this guy. I've been slamming him for a while now, and there's this one guy that loves to email me, keeps smiling. He's always talking about how maybe Massey's a good guy. Dude, you're so wrong. You've been so wrong. I'm just going to say it to your face right here. There you go. And if you email me, I'm going to remind you again, because that's just ridiculous. You go talk to your boy and see if you can get him figured out then, because he sucks. Trump seeking mineral refining on Pentagon bases to boost U.S. output, because he can do whatever the hell he wants as commander-in-chief on military land. This is how he's going to get around a whole lot of stuff, and likely going to be able to use budgeting materials, much like he did when he defended the border and started building the wall using that budget. He is very likely going to be doing much the same, borrowing money from a number of different DEI programs and other stuff like that have already been funded, but he's going to spend that money in other ways, probably put some processes together so he can start to help this country get raw materials in here and start really working on making this country stronger and greater and being able to manufacture again. This is just, I guess, good news in the big picture, right? Yeah, eggs. U.S. dozen of eggs has dropped dropped 11.26%. Yeah, in just a short period of time. Yeah, all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't raise the prices of eggs again. I almost shared the story mostly for that. I think I did. I really do. People have been bitching about the egg prices. Gas prices are down too. So I don't know. You guys said, well, it's not fixed yet. Trump been in office 40 days. How's he not fixed anything? Oh, my Lord. This scares me so often. The general human population sucks. I'm sorry. I'm not speaking about you. Just everyone else. My God. Diesel gas prices continue to fall nationwide. Guess this week's national average fell to $3.58, while the national average gasoline price fell to $3.69. What's the difference for you guys? Because here in California, it's like $5 still. Hello? And yes, it is. Thank you very much. Don't buy your gas here. That, we can promise, is not a good idea. FBI Director Kash Patel working aggressively to comply with congressional records requests ahead of deadlines. They've asked for all sorts of different stuff that he's now going to give them. Now, I don't want to get too far ahead of the big picture, but this has to do with stuff with the pipe bomb that Merrick Garland wasn't ever giving, a lot of stuff that Chris Wray wasn't giving. So a lot of this stuff's going to be given up to Jim Jordan and Comer, probably, are the two majors. So all this is going to come forward. They're trying to get it out as quick as they can. My understanding, they're actually making good progress. Just to level set the field, I think there's a couple things that don't necessarily fall into that. And we're going to talk about both of these, I think, but I'm going to bring them up now. One would be Epstein, and two is going to be Seth Rich. Both of those cases, I actually believe, are still active. Now, maybe right, wrong, and different. Maybe they've been active because of what happened in SDNY, and they somehow locked stuff down and kept it active without ever pursuing it. There's a lot of things that are possible. That'll get resolved into those types of things. But there's also quite likely legitimate people looking into stuff right now. And now they're going to actually have the go-ahead to do more. So, yeah, some of those records are not going to be publicly available until they are out. And that's, comes back to a Freedom of Information Act. I don't know exactly how the auto pen thing works. I get it. It's like DocuSign. I've said that many, many, many times. And I get that, he could have signed something that way. And but what I don't understand and don't know is does he have to physically sign everything as president, or can he take advantage of technology that exists? But all that said, he supposedly signed He pardoned 6 criminals with the exact same auto pen signature while Joe Biden was actually vacationing and golfing in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And they say that they were signed in the city of Washington, but they weren't. They were docu-signed, or whatever they call it. What do they call it? What's their auto-penned? They were auto-penned, and they were not done in the place that they claimed, which should theoretically vitiate, let me try to use fancy words properly, should vitiate that whole contract, whatever the hell he signed. So these pardons, what do we go arrest him again? But they're starting to really get heavily into when the public scrutiny and public knowledge of the auto pen is growing. And so this is going to become something that we're going to be fighting for a while, I would assume. I don't know how quickly things are going to happen, but they're going to keep trying to happen. Again, Ty Clevenger, he's a Texas attorney. He's been trying to get a hold of Seth Rich stuff. They won't give it to him. There's been a lot of cases around this. They say the stuff's involved in a current investigation. I actually believe it is entirely possible that there's a current investigation. Now, I also believe it's entirely possible they've locked down some of this information in investigations that have never really been allowed to complete. We know some things just get left open. They can maybe schedule something way the hell out into the future and then every so often extend it, right? There's a lot of things they can do. And I bet they were doing a lot of those things. And I think Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are obviously having to dig into a lot of that crap and figure out what all's what's legit, what can we actually push forward, what do we know? So this is going to be a big part of this. Does that still mean Texas Attorney Ty Clevenger is allowed to have whatever he wants? No, it's not. Because if you got a hold of stuff that was being used in public trials, obviously Ty knows this, but other people may not, that actually taints the public's perspective, because that, of course, would become public domain. We'd talk about it. Everyone would have an opinion about it. It would taint juries. It would taint a lot of things. And it wouldn't be the taint. That's the thing. It's not the good part. I'm just kidding. So, yeah, it is something to consider. This is more Alina Habba. She confirmed the theory. The reason for the truckload of Epstein files haven't been released yet. So she kind of brings up something similar, in my opinion.
Have been, frankly. I actually just asked about this and where it's at. And I just want to say, I understand and hear the American people's, ask. And sometimes they mistakenly put it on me, and that's fine. I'm part of the administration. But I will say that I personally have checked in. They are going through it. You have to be patient, because when you are wanting to prosecute and actually do something with the information that you have to make sure that you save the integrity of the investigation so that we can bring these people to justice, so that we can hold grand juries, so that we can do certain things. You have to be careful. The value for the American people to know immediately would undercut, we have to do it. We have to expose it. We're going to be transparent 100%. But we also have to make sure we're not putting any children in danger, putting any minors that don't want and do not deserve to be publicly identified in danger, and making sure that we put forth the information that would still assist us in getting these individuals to justice. It's such a convoluted thing, but I will tell you, transparency is 100% coming. We did get a ton of documents. Pam's letter, I think, was directed towards the SDNY, that we now know the individual in charge there had directives to go in the FBI and said, be the resistance. Do not turn over the documents. We have no tolerance for that. But I would just say to the American people, yes, they got the documents. Kash instructed those individuals that you must cooperate. One resigned, who was leading the charge in not cooperating. And now we have them, and we have to go through them. There is a very large amount of documents, I've been told. They are going through them. And I also, frankly, believe in transparency. We have to give the American people transparency. And we have been, frankly. And unfortunately, sometimes we have to wait a little bit to go through the documents. We are not machines. But I know that they are actively working on it.
It like a weird analogy hit me, and I think it's perfect. And I think everybody's going to get it, with this tiny exception. It's like having a knot in your hair, or in your daughter's hair, or whatever, and trying to get it out, right? Now, there are times where you can get a knot out. There are times where you got to cut it out. But if you just yank, hair's coming out, right? That hurts like hell. And that is not a good way to deal with a knot, is it? Now, you can tug at it a little, and you might be able to break it. Hopefully, get some conditioner in there if you're really worried about it. Maybe if you get gum in the hair, try to get something oily on it, whatever. I'm just running with this weird analogy where it's like I feel like we're trying to, you don't want to cut it out, but you can. And we might have to cut some stuff out, but you certainly don't just tug on it. You don't force it. And that's what so many people want us to do, is force it. Force the truth to the surface. Force disclosure. Force it. But you can't. You just can't. It's not just the fact that people aren't ready for it. I mean, they aren't. And you've got to really, we're going, I think, as fast as we can. And I think a lot of people aren't going to make it because of the fact that it's speeding up. That will ultimately be the problem. We're moving faster than they can. And it's the energetics that's going to be happening, and they're going to get left behind. And I don't exactly know how that crash and burn happens. I'm assuming health issues will be what gets a lot of people. I don't know. That's my assumption at the point. It makes the most sense. The federal judge who just went after DOGE is married to an attorney representing Hampton Dellinger in his lawsuit against the Trump administration. Just let that all sink in there. Say it one more time just to make it easier. The federal judge who just went after DOGE is married to the attorney representing Hampton Dellinger in his lawsuit against the Trump administration. He's married to the head lawyer suing Trump, and now he's going after the Trump administration. She was also Lisa Page's personal attorney during the GOP inquiry into her efforts to smear President Trump with the Russia collusion hoax with Peter Strzok. How's that not a conflict of interest? That's a great question, Natalie Winters. Court hands Trump third appellate loss in the birthright citizenship battle. It's three districts that would never give him a chance in Hades. District of Columbia, Massachusetts federal judge, and San Francisco district judge. Sorry, Richmond-based district judge was the other one, not Massachusetts. Still, three places that never would. I'm sure there's got to be a judge somewhere that, but here's the thing. They might be smart about the way jurisdictions work, right? Certain states are going to make the complaints because certain states fall within certain jurisdictions. Once it's been, kicked down, though, by a federal or a appellate court, he is then allowed to push it up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is they're going to earn their money this year. That's for sure. Well, next year, too. The next couple of years, they are seriously going to earn their money. So we'll see how it all plays out. They're talking a lot of talk, obviously. Trump actually is buying a Tesla. That's kind of cool.
President Trump says he's going to buy a Tesla today. Did he buy it? And when is the last time he drove a car?
That's a very good question. I have heard the president remark that he misses being able to drive, that luxury of driving his own vehicle, although the beast is nice, but he is going to be viewing a Tesla that is making its way to the White House complex now, I can confirm. Perhaps the press pool today will have an opportunity to witness this very exciting moment later this afternoon, but Tesla is on its way here now, and we'll see if the president likes it when he checks it out.
That's pretty cool. I think he asked something else that was pretty stupid afterwards. But still, Fair Election Funds urges the FCC to hold CBS accountable for their unlawful conduct related to the 60 Minutes interview. And just to throw a little bit of sauce on this, not a lot, I don't want to waste too much time, but what they did, CBS, it was a month before the election, they did an interview with somebody that actually did a lot of weird stuff in the interview that, if played in full, if shown as it was, if almost even recorded live, if you will, it would have been, it would have looked bad. Oh, cool. Trump's talking right now. It would have looked bad for Kamala. So they trimmed stuff out, but they never said that. They never indicated they trimmed anything out. They played it like this was Kamala. And what are you talking about? No, she did everything perfect. You're insane. So they misrepresented the news. You're not allowed to do that. There's a few things that are wrong with that situation. They should have probably acknowledged the edit. They shouldn't have done it to begin with. And, well, they're going to keep just throwing it on there. I got you. So, yeah, they're I don't know. They're going to dig into this deeper. The FCC might have a case here. It'd be interesting. This is, again, not so much an FCC violation, but the parent company, and the reason I say that is because the parent company isn't, let's put it this way, like just for make it easy, like MSNBC, or NBC National News. When you watch that, that's actually a cable feed. There's no broadcast. There's no antenna somewhere shooting that off. But when you get into localities, when you get into your city, your local Fox News or your local CBS or your local whatever, they are literally broadcasting. And some radios can pick it up. I used to have one. My girlfriend had a car when I was in Tennessee, and it was so cool because the Fox channel, I could pick it up on the car radio. It was like way down on the lower range, but I could actually get it. Her thing dialed down that far, and I was able to listen to Fox TV while I would drive into work, and I loved it. Oh, I loved listening to that. It was fun as hell. It was back when I worked at the classic rock station. So it's very cool. But that's kind of one of the differences. So the stuff broadcast over a signal, that's FCC compliant. It has to be. Stuff that's just network, you're not breaking any FCC rules. It's kind of why I don't have to play any of those stupid games, because I don't broadcast live. I don't have to give equal protection, equal opportunity. I don't have to do any of that crap because they don't have to watch me, and I'm not doing it over public airways. So again, a lot of complexity to it, but FCC does license those stations, and if the parent company is doing poor things, then the children could be punished. You know how that goes. Sometimes it happens in school board meetings. Trump's lawsuit against Pulitzer Prize board members moves forward after the judge denies a temporary stay request. They're going to let this keep going. That's another one of those kind of like you lied sort of situations, and he's allowed to continue forward. I think he's got $20 billion lawsuit moving forward with Paramount, right? CBS Paramount, something like that, I think. Federal judge on Monday determined that Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency should be subject to Freedom of Information Act. I'm not opposed to this because first off, the DOGE department is supposedly a government department. So yeah, I mean, and they've been very forthcoming and showing what's up. Now, Elon Musk is not an actual employee of the government, so that would not necessarily transpire to him. They might say it should, but they can't because Elon Musk is just a private citizen that's donating his time. So you don't get to like look into his business dealings or something weird like that. But yeah, all the stuff that DOGE is doing, yeah, here you go. Look, happy to show it to you. And he's been showing it. It's on a website. I think it's doge.gov, I think, right? So yeah, there you go. That's happening. So yeah, we need this, and also when people support illegal migrants, they should house them close. Oh, this is funny. This is kind of fake, but this is this is super cool. This is super cool. Check this out.
Man, I really stand with Ukraine. I wonder if people know just how much I stand with Ukraine. Maybe I could. I did it. I really did it. Now people know I'm a good person. Oh, no. How is this possible? I can't be drafted. I'm 40 years old. I have kids. I was recently hit by a bus. I just wanted to show that I was a good person, not actually be a good person.
Based on a new federal order, when you post in support of a foreign war, you will automatically be drafted to fight in that war. Thank you for volunteering, patriots.
What have I done?
Okay, that's not true, just so everybody knows. That was fake, but damn funny, right? Damn funny. So again, hopefully you guys, I should have had my parody thing up, but nonetheless, I forgot about the part where it literally tells you at the end that this is going to happen to you. But very good. And if that did actually work, right? If that actually occurred, nobody would have Ukrainian flags as their borders, would they? Would they? No. Except that Ruth guy, maybe. Ukraine's largest drone attack targets Moscow ahead of the ceasefire talks. Right before they get into a ceasefire, huge wave of propeller planes, little remote control planes with explosives on them. I'm not trying to minimize it. There's hundreds of them. So it's a pesky situation. They're not exactly fast. So, I don't know. Russia shot down a crap ton of them before they ever got anywhere. Ultimately, they killed 2 people, I guess, and 18 others were injured. Now, here's the interesting thing. They're saying, I don't know, we can't believe anything anybody ever says anymore, but they supposedly hit a meat warehouse. A meat warehouse. We're in a time of war, and they hit a meat warehouse? You didn't hit like a command and control. You didn't hit some sort of important thing. You hit a meat warehouse and just killed civilians. This isn't even a military meat warehouse, they're saying. I mean, again, can't trust anybody involved. A meat warehouse. Think about it. And we're supposed to continue protecting this bastard. So this is, and again, the reason I think they chose this target, by the way, and Axios is stupid, but the reason I think they chose this target is because it wasn't defended. It's a freaking meat warehouse. Why would I put anti-aircraft stuff out in front of a freaking meat warehouse? They're located over where, you know, buildings that matter are. Fucking meat warehouse. Whatever. Zelensky. Volodymyr. I can't play this guy because, well, frankly, he speaks a weird-ass language. I think it's Hungarian or something. It sounds Hungarian. I don't know what Hungarian sounds like. It just sounds like I don't understand. It's what it sounds like. Hey, here, you tell me.
A barátság kőolajvezeték egyik mérőállomását. Barátság kőolajvezeték hazánk kőolajellátása szempontjából.
Right, so you totally you get it, right? You're there, 100%, right? So whatever the case was, here's what supposedly happened. Oil flow to Hungary via the Druzhba pipeline has apparently been halted following this new Ukrainian attack against this meat department. Maybe they were actually something else, whatever. This meat facility got hit, and now all of a sudden we've got pipelines from, I guess, Russia to Hungary, a NATO country, that have been damaged. Now, a NATO country no longer able to have oil because of a Ukrainian attack. Wow, so we got like a cyber attack that's supposedly emanating from Ukraine. Now we've got Ukraine just shot 300 remote control airplanes with explosives on them, and they just shut down a friend's energy. Okay, that, well, yeah, I'm going to say that doesn't make any sense, actually. That's what I'm going to say, you know, on record. Thousands of Christian Syrians have fled to a Russian airbase. Why? Because the Syrians are killing Christians. They're beheading them. The Russians are protecting them. Why? Because the Russians are, well, they're Christian, essentially. They're Orthodox. I don't know exactly how they are on the whole Jesus and the Christ thing, but they're Orthodox. They're part of that same, I think they use a similar Bible as like the Egyptian. So I think they're similar. I know there's a slight differential there's two different Ukrainian Orthodox churches now. There's one that's Russian-based and one that's the Ukrainian Western world-based. All said, the Russians are protecting Christians, just for any of the people out there that have a hard time with Russians. Trump administration is going to resume military aid to Ukraine and intelligence sharing. I don't quite get what this is about. Now, Steve Witkoff made this public today. We also have an opportunity for a ceasefire that's been made public, but I guess we're turning back on our intelligence with them. Now, this was right after a giant stupid attack that seems to have caused them more problems than good. And again, watching a movie, right? This is what you'd want the enemy to do. This is what you'd want Ukraine to do. Not really my enemy, but this is what you'd want them to do to get the rest of the population here in the United States to be against it, right? So like you would, if you had to control the outcome, you'd be like, all right, so here's what needs to happen. They need to attack Russia, but it needs to go awry and then cause problems that end up making them look bad. And they're like, all right, we got this covered. So again, it's strange how it's all playing out, but here is Marco Rubio talking with Waltz. And he's speaking, well, he's not talking with Waltz, he's talking with the press. Waltz is standing there nodding and shit like that. 11:11. That's an interesting time. Very cool. I like that. I like that a hell lot more than 17. That gets me way more excited. And I love 12:34. It's a good one. 2:34 is a good one. 777s are always fun, but you'll never see that on a clock. I've looked and looked. I literally spent hours watching one time and never once saw 777. It pissed me off.
Today we made an offer that the Ukrainians have accepted, which is to enter into a ceasefire and into immediate negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's enduring and sustainable and accounts for their interests, their security, their ability to prosper as a nation. I want to personally we both want to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Majesty, for hosting us, for making this possible. They've been instrumental in this process, and we're very grateful to them for hosting us here today. And hopefully we'll take this offer now to the Russians. And we hope that they'll say yes to peace. The ball is now in their court. And but again, the president's objective here is, number one, above everything else, he wants the war to end. And I think today Ukraine has taken a concrete step in that regard. We hope the Russians will reciprocate. Today,
what I do like is there's no Zelensky on camera, right? And he's like, "Oh, let me be on there," and he's like, "Get the fuck out of here! No, you're gonna just ruin this. You're gonna say something stupid. Get out of here. Get out of here with your stupid sweatshirt." Florida, what the frick, man? I don't know if you guys know this is happening, but you guys are about to give all of your audit power for elections over to this company called Clear Ballot. They're a non-government organization. They are paid by your taxpayer dollars, but you have zero control over how the audit process works. Zero control. SB 1414 turns over the responsibilities of your SOE to an organization, an NGO, which is not part of the government. This organization is Clear Ballot, whose only business is ballot image counting. The simplest way to understand, and that just means they count the number of images, folks, okay? So you could take the same ballot, scan it 57 times, and guess what? They're going to count 57 of them. Yay! Really? Well done, real clear ballot bastards. Is that what it is? Clear ballot bastards? Oh, I'm sorry. It's Clear Ballot with an R down there. I thought that was a B for bastard. Sorry. Simplest way to understand the NGO is to know that they are paid with your tax dollars, but you have no say in what happens. Same company, Clear Ballot, has been involved in election audit controversies, aka inaccuracies, in several states. Clear Ballot's technology is currently used in 13 states: Colorado, Florida, Maryland, New York, Ohio, Oregon, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Virginia, and Washington. A couple of those are ones that, they're trying to turn blue, aren't they? Yeah, Ohio used to be red, sort of blue, or sort of red, sort of purple. I don't know where it is. Trump won it. And what was the other one? Florida. Yeah, what the frick? Maybe with all the Cubanos, but I think that's changed a lot too, frankly. I think a lot of things have changed with Trump coming in, especially with a lot of the minority communities, which is fantabulous. Kevin Bass, PhD, put this out. Yeah, he's a PhD. He's, just saying. Deaths in America from 1999 to 2025. Okay, just a count of deaths. Suicide, 1.1 million. It sucks. Overdoses, 1.5 million. Totally sucks. Heart attacks, 17.8 million. Damn, that sucks real bad. Measles, 4. Just saying. 4. One hand. You could even be a shop teacher and get away with, right? You just got to get that thumb up there. It means technically not a finger. Let's not get lost. Come on now. Don't be like that. Beautiful moment of RFK Jr. telling us, this is the thing with the weight loss. I was talking about the Ozempic shot. This is where he's talking about it. He's so hard to listen to. This is so sad. It reminds me of my uncle. My uncle ended up getting a trach at one point, and he was in a very talkative family, poor guy. Beautiful man. Passed away years ago, but beautiful man. Anyway, I don't know. I don't think he would have liked me. I don't know. I keep wondering. He was like the one in the family that had sense. The rest of them were so hardcore left. Hard to say, but Dad was left. He was liberal, but he made sense. Like, I actually listened to him, Anyway, that's neither here nor there, but just made me think of my wonderful uncle. Beautiful man. Anyway, sorry. RFK Jr. talking about Ozempic, how stupid expensive this will be, and how literally, it bugs me so freaking much how lazy people are. I get work sucks. I don't want to do it. It's hard. That's the reward. The level of effort is the reward. That's the reward. You don't get the reward without the effort. If you cheat the effort to get the reward, you don't actually get the reward. It's how karma works. Anybody trying to cheat the system will get effed. Just saying. Watch it happen. We're going to live through a lot of weird shit.
Today, over 100 members of Congress support a bill to fund Ozempic with Medicare at $1,500 a month. Most of these members have taken money from the manufacturer of that product, a European company called Novo Nordisk. As everyone knows, once a drug is approved for Medicare, it goes to Medicaid. And there is a push to recommend Ozempic for Americans as young as 6 over a condition, obesity, that is completely preventable and barely even existed 100 years ago. Since 74% of Americans are obese, The cost of all of them, if they take their Ozempic prescriptions, will be $3 trillion a year. This is a drug that has made Novo Nordisk the biggest company in Europe. It's a Danish company, but the Danish government does not recommend it. It recommends a change in diet to treat obesity and exercise. Virtually Novo Nordisk's entire value is based upon its projections of what Ozempic is going to sell to Americans. For half the price of Ozempic, we could purchase regeneratively raised organic agriculture, organic food for every American, 3 meals a day, and gym membership for every obese American. Why are members of Congress doing the bidding of this Danish company instead of standing up for American farmers and children? Because Novo Nordisk is one of the largest funders of medical research, the media and politicians and the medical schools all go along with them.
Yeah, we trust these people. That's the problem. And they're the ones that are paying for all the different studies. That's just ridiculous. Healthy Home, I love these guys. Trying to keep this one sort of quick. I'm already way long. danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Let's try that again. danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Good stuff. STEM Active is incredible. I'm hearing from all sorts of people. Just quick warning, in fact, is to a large extent, many of you might start to feel better and then kind of overdo it and sort of re-injure. So be careful. Don't get ahead of yourself. It can feel better, and it is healing, but you've kind of got to work into things when you're coming off injuries. For me, dislocated shoulder. Again, it's not hurting when I work out. It's fantastic. I've got other friends that are telling me the same thing. I got friends that are noticing they had cartilage issue with their knee, and they're noticing a difference after a short period of time. The STEM Active is incredible. It's not stem cells. It actually enhances the stem cells in your own body. There's a number of things. Within a short period of time, a 25 to 40% increase occurs within people. And so incredible the way it does for healing. You've got something that you're trying to heal through. You've got some sort of aches and pains and joints and weird stuff. This is something I highly recommend you try. You actually should start to notice a difference. I don't know. I say give it 2 weeks, but I've heard people talk sooner. I haven't really heard later per se, but I feel like if you're at least kind of setting your sights on 14 days and then 7 days in, you're like, damn, I like you, because you kind of forget about it. It's weird. You'll just notice that you don't feel it, and you're like, well, I haven't felt my knee in like a few hours or a day or whatever. Like normally it hurts. One person was talking about how in the morning when they'd walk to, I don't know, to get their drink of water or whatever they did, the first thing they get out of bed and walk, that normally that was extraordinarily painful, one of the hardest parts of the day, and they got their thing and then thought about it after, and they're like, holy crap, that didn't actually hurt. So again, it's not a pain remedy. It just helps your body heal itself. Stem cells actually can become any normal cell in the body, any cell. They're just sort of an androgynous cell, and say the heart's like, I need help, I need heart cells. And then the stem cells are like, I'm coming. And then they suddenly just become heart cells. And they can never do anything else. They're always going to be a heart cell until the day they die. But at first they're like, I can be whatever I want to be. Sky's the limits. Anything other than how British people think. Sort of funny unless you're, unless you're not British, because then you probably have no clue what I'm talking about. I learned that from a comedian, by the way. Tone it down a bit. I want to be an astronaut. And they're like, bring it down a notch. I want to feed astronauts. Now we're talking. Eddie Izzard joke. Kind of funny. Anyway. Stem cells, powerful, help heal your body. They've got the STEM Active Gel. It's a liquid version of the same thing, almost instantly put into your system. The ones I take are the pills, it's these things, right? Just the regular little gel caps. They're awesome. You do two of them once a day, and boom, 60 in a thing. So it's a month's prescription, if you will. Balance is a new thing, hormone support. This is something I don't know a lot about. My girlfriend's not maybe at that point yet. If not, I wouldn't know. She wouldn't, I don't know, whatever. But any of you ladies possibly going through the change, this is supposed to make a huge difference. And Healthy Home has incredible products, so I'm betting this would make an enormous difference. And it's a hormone support. It's not hormone therapy. It's not adding hormones, which can cause all sorts of side effects. People know that. This actually just helps your own body kind of deal with this time. And usually that's the better way to kind of come at it. So something to keep in mind. danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Amaze is a great collagen supplement. Again, liquid, super good. Noticing big difference with my girlfriend's little eye thing. So that's cool. AO12 gets the antioxidants out of your body. It does it beautifully. A wonderful berry taste. Delicious. This is my favorite product, probably. Well, I don't know. Hard to say. This would be, I mean, these are the two that I really, 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 really love. Just, I love them. I don't notice the skin stuff as much. I'm really bad at it. Like, people have bought me lotion because, like, I am horrible and I don't use it. It feels slimy. It feels gross. I don't like it. It feels on my hands. Like, I just don't like lotion. So I'm probably extraordinarily ashy and just don't realize it because I'm so white. So, yeah, anyway, it's the way it is. But this stuff gives me energy. I do it every day before I go down to the gym, and whatever it is, it just gives me more energy. It is very awesome. Nitric oxide booster helps a bunch. And then they've got a STEM Active for pets. Don't know a lot about it, but it's obviously safe for pets. It's doing the same concept. I do have a danradiostyle.petclub365.com, which I think is a really fantastic way to go to help your pets out. But this is another way. If you got a pet that's got actual injuries, like legit injuries, like maybe it's had surgery or something like that, I would totally get into this realm, because this is like something that's a little more heavy duty when it comes to healing than, say, making sure you've got Coriolis versicolor in your body. Right? It's kind of a different story altogether. So danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. And I'd love to get some feedback on balance. It's still very early. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not expecting anyone's even gotten the product delivered to them yet. It's a very new product, but super cool. Super cool from what I'm hearing. And again, not an easy question for a dude to ask ladies. Hey, going through that change? You want to? Oh, no? Oh, you're just being bitchy? No, just kidding. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. That's what. Anyway, I'll stop. I'll step out of the landmine. danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Probably why Dan's not married. All said. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, great products. Definitely check them out. And join if you can. If you're somebody that's got your own platform, I highly recommend you hit that join button and become an affiliate. It's an incredible product. Try it yourself. Fall in love with it. That's what I did before I really got crazy into it. And then, yeah, big time. Just a reminder, 1, Justin Trudeau is gone. 2, Justin, just letting you know, we had an issue one day where a dude stole the podium from, I think, the speaker or something. And he went to jail for a bunch of years. So, I don't know. Just saying, if you're stealing a chair, it's not the best idea. Carney says retaliatory tariffs are going to stay until America shows some respect. This new Canadian Prime Minister is, well, essentially got a trade war going on with us. The Ontario Premier is now threatening to cut off electricity completely to the U.S. if the trade war escalates. Now, first off, just to put this in some perspective, there's 3 states that are connected to this dude's grid. 3 states. New York, probably, and Maine, New York, Vermont, or maybe New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, whatever. I don't know, 3 states up there. And sorry, y'all, you might have a problem here. The rest of us are playing a game right now. But they might consider turning off the power. Trump he's not happy about that. So despite the fact that Canada is charging the USA from 250 to 390% tariffs on many of our farm products, Ontario just announced a 25% surcharge on electricity, of all things. And you're not even allowed to do that because our tariffs are reciprocal. We'll just get it all back on April 2nd. Canada is a tariff abuser and always has been. But the United States is not going to be subsidizing Canada any longer. We don't need your cars. We don't need your lumber. We don't need your energy. And very soon, you will find that out. Make America great again. See, look at 777. I like that shit. I see that shit all the time. Why would our country allow another country to supply us with electricity, even for a small area? Who made these decisions and why? And can you imagine Canada stooping so low as to use electricity that so affect the life of innocent people as a bargaining chip and threat? Oh, you just played it back on them hard. They will pay a financial price for this so big that they will read about it in history books for many years to come. Damn. The whip crack you could hear around the world. Oh, shit. I don't know if we want to read all this. Yeah, so Ontario, Canada, placing 25% tariff on electricity. Pissed off Donald Trump. A lot of capitalized words in here. He's instructed the Secretary of Commerce to add an additional 25% tariff to 50% on all steel and aluminum coming into the United States from Canada, one of the highest tariffing nations anywhere in the world. This will go into effect tomorrow morning, March 12th. Also, Canada must immediately drop their anti-American farmer tariff of 250% to 390% on various U.S. dairy products, on which has long been considered outrageous. I will shortly be declaring a national emergency on electricity within the threatened area. This will allow the U.S. to quickly do what has to be done to alleviate this abusive threat from Canada. If other egregious long-time tariffs are not likewise dropped by Canada, I will substantially increase on April 2nd the tariffs on cars coming into the U.S., which will essentially permanently shut down the automobile manufacturing business in Canada. Those cars can easily be made in the USA. Also, Canada pays very little for national security, relying on the United States for military protection. We are subsidizing Canada to the tune of more than $200 billion a year. Why? This cannot continue. The only thing that makes sense is for Canada to become our cherished 51st state. This would make all tariffs and everything else totally disappear. Canadians' taxes will be substantially reduced. Not really. Actually, Canada's got a lower tax rate than the United States, but if you count the state taxes, maybe, but whatever. So it's artificial line separation many years ago, yada, yada, yada. So, yeah, Trump's pissed. Extra pissed, even, maybe one would say. At least 6 military personnel have been killed and 450 have been taken hostage. There's been a train, the Balochistan Liberation Army? I don't know who the hell they are. It's a militant group. This happened in Pakistan. They attacked a train. Took a whole bunch of people hostage. This isn't going to go well for whoever's involved. I'm not sure who's going to help in this particular situation since we're super good friends with India, and India hates Pakistan. I can't imagine it'll be us. This might be a Russia thing or a China thing. I'm not sure. Who's going to help? Be curious to see. By the way, just from a multipolar situation, that I think will be telling. Will remain to find out, hopefully. Man arrested on suspicion of gross negligence, manslaughter in the North Sea crash, police are saying. So they've blamed the Solong ship. The captain of the Solong is pretty sure what I'm called. Is who they're doing, nailing, busting, whatever. The Solong was the name of the ship. So long, and they crashed into whatever Immaculate or whatever the hell it was. So long. So long. I don't know why I'm saying it Chinese. Makes me wonder. I think it was, I think this dude's being blamed. I don't know if he knows he's toast or if he was asleep at the wheel and they took over. I don't know. I don't know if he knew it was going to, because you can't tell people what's going to happen or they'll tell on you. That's just the nature of people, especially when you start torturing them and cutting off fingers and shit. People all of a sudden get really, really talkative. Yeah, so anyway, it's just a problem that we live with. Pope Francis' prognosis has been lifted on his 25th consecutive day in the hospital. Boom. They always say, it's the 25th time. So 25th day in the hospital, they finally seem like they've gotten him in a pretty stabilized situation. We'll see how long that actually lasts. Hey, Pope, you look a little chubby. You might want to try Ozempic. It's good for you, I hear. Wikipedia has been disrupted by an edit war. It's been manipulating pages on Gaza. This is kind of interesting. 14 different editors were banned. I'm wondering if these are editors that were, government paid, maybe, by us, or U.S. aid paid, maybe, which is one of the things the original founder of Wikipedia was asking Musk to look into. He no longer, I think he separated from the company like in 2012 or something weird like that. But he's had many questions about the hard left movement that's been going on. Well, this has been happening specifically with Gaza stuff. There's been all sorts of crazy edits that are, many are claiming are not as true as they're claiming they are. And Wikipedia is supposed to be the place of truth, even though it's not. Amazon bankrolls the Trumps, I should say, as Jeff Bezos, he buys The Apprentice. He buys it. That's interesting. First off, it's cool that they sold it. Sold it for $40 million. I don't know what they sold it for. Melania's show, they also picked up, I think. Her forthcoming documentary. They paid $40 million for that. Good on you, sweetheart. Damn. Man, if someone ever paid me $40 million because you guys finally realized all the spiritual crap I know is worth it, and you can figure out an easy way to put that into a video or series, damn, I'd consider it. That'd definitely take care of any family members I have. Damn, girl. Oh, this is why everyone was pissed off about her. Yeah, I'd stare at that all day. Whoops. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Anyway, yes. bought The Apprentice. It's very cool stuff. Coalition of 38 AGs, attorney generals, and DOJ announced a final plan to end Google's search engine monopoly. They're actually talking about if this isn't good enough, they might actually go after the Android app. Oh, could you please? Pretty please? Oh my God, that would be so rad. Super duper rad. I want to vote for that. Where do I vote for that? Go after Android. Please free them. Let Samsung buy them. That'd be cool. And then it could just be part of Samsung's phones, and that'd just be that, all right? Fantasticness. A couple more stories here. Justice Department attorney says she was fired after balking at efforts to restore Mel Gibson's gun rights. What's interesting about this is, one, he did have I guess one of his wives or girlfriends or whatever the hell got mad, so the cops got called, and he got in trouble. He pleaded no contest. Now, that's kind of the big deal. He pleaded no contest to a misdemeanor, and so I guess he lost his gun rights because it was what is it when you domestic abuse? There you go. Like, it was a domestic abuse charge, and that's one of the crazy rules out here in California specifically, is if you're a domestic abuser, maybe it's the whole nation, I don't know. If you're a domestic abuser, you're not allowed to have guns because they assume you're probably going to use it against your domestic person, and probably true in some cases. Who knows? I don't know. But he pleaded no contest to this misdemeanor. He got in trouble or whatever. Now, no contest is not necessarily free and clear, but at the same time, it definitely does not admit guilt. A no contest plea, or, oh God, here it goes, a nolo contendere. Contendere? I don't even know how they say that. It doesn't matter. It's a legal option where a defendant neither admits nor disputes the charges against them, but accepts the punishment as if they were guilty. This type of plea can be beneficial as it does not serve as an admission of guilt in any future civil cases related to the same incident. It does not serve as an admission of guilt. Yet, the lady that was told, because they were kind of going through some of these, back in 2011, they took away some people's gun rights, and Pam Bondi's like, I'd like to revisit these. I think you should consider these different cases. And she handed a number of cases. And this lady pushed him back and said, I still don't feel comfortable helping out our friend Mel Gibson, who I think this might have been a trick by Pam Bondi, because she chose somebody that's very ultra political, super political, that lost their gun rights. And she's like, I don't want to give back his gun rights. Well, she lost her job. She got fired. That's how that works. And Musk-bashing Democrat donors plead guilty to an alleged woke fraud scheme. Interesting. According to the complaint against Sandberg and al-Husseini's plea agreement, Sandberg obtained $145 million in loans secured by al-Husseini, who Sandberg knew did not have sufficient financial assets to cover these loans if Sandberg defaulted. Sandberg hid this fact from investors, then defaulted on the loans, which resulted in at least $145 million in losses. So this is a dude that owned a company that was doing financial investments for people. They took $145 million of people's financial investments that maybe was invested in God knows what stocks or whatever. They pulled it out, had it in cash, whatever the case was. And they said, here's what we're going to get into, or here's what we're going to do another of. We're going to do a loan. Loans make a crap ton of money. There's huge interest that's charged. This is great. You get way more than you're going to get like investing this in the stock market or anything like that, because stock market's a little freaky. Right now we know loans are going to pay back. Well, they're like, well, but this is a dangerous loan. He's like, who cares? Let's do it anyway. Knowing full well this dude was possibly not going to pay back this loan. And he didn't. So they lost $145 million. Just gave it to someone else. A bank probably, because they probably bought a property or something along those lines. So yeah, that's kind of some of the fun stuff they do when they take care of each other. Super long show. Damn. I'm seriously almost at a 2-hour show. Man, it's getting ridiculous. I can't help myself. I got to get better at cutting back the number of topics, I guess. I hate it. Too much news, folks. And I still kick a lot of crap to the curb. Obviously not enough. I love you guys. I don't know. Maybe it's just like, I feel like I can't get enough of you, right? I don't know. I think that's what it is. I feel like I can't get enough of you. So I end up making longer shows. I want to remind you guys, if you are huge fans of mine, then please check out truththread.shop. Understanding as I'm talking to her Friday, the lady that's in charge of doing the merchandise, and she's got a couple new ideas that she wants to float out there. I don't think they're necessarily channel specific. I think they're more specific to different things going on, kind of like the other shirts and stuff she offers. But whatever the case is, still groovy. We got some good Great Awakening stuff. Please send pictures to the place that'll confirm your order when you order these things. When you finally get the merchandise, please send a picture of you wearing it. I'm going to use it. I think she's finally sent me some pictures. I think she was holding back on me a little bit. So anyway, a lot of things are happening. You're helping out a family. This lady's a nurse too, and she's got 2 kids and a husband, so that's 3 kids. And so a lot of things going on, obviously. But you're helping them out. You're helping the channel out. They've got some great mugs. They've got this cool new Trump president thing that the 45th, 47th president kind of looks like a Jack Daniels take on it. It's pretty cool. The Great Awakening, of course, is us. And then she's got some specialty stuff, the 9/11, never forget. And there's a whole lot of information on the back of these is what goes on. That's kind of one of the things that she's very fond of, is kind of telling a lot of stories. Like you're standing in line someplace, there's a lot of information that comes along with this. So things to keep in mind. And so we've got that going on. We've also got the Ephesians 6:11, fight, fight, fight. That was when Trump was out here, and the Ephesians 6:11s put on the armor of God. So, of course, on the back, there's a lot of things there, and the timing of the shooting and all that good stuff. And then, of course, one of the most famous, popular ones out there is the 5G warfare, which is where we're at right now, information warfare. And that is literally what the 5th generation is information. So we're controlling that. And again, they come in hoodies, they come in long sleeve, short sleeve, tank tops, the whole 9 yards. All the shirts do. And so, again, some cool mugs and also the hat. So check it out. Go to truththread.shop. Oops, that's truththread.shop. All said, things are moving in the right direction. We've got, I think financially, I don't know how it plays out, but the deep state ultimately has to be removed from the financial system. Many are talking about QRS and all that stuff. I don't know about all that, but I think if there is any sort of quantum system, that's going to be when we kick the Fed off, and that's that moment. I don't necessarily think we're all going to get a bunch of free money or whatever. I don't know. I've heard all sorts of crazy stuff around that. We'll see how it ultimately plays out. I don't think money's going to be as an important a thing in the coming days, and I think I agree with Trump. Our nation's going to be doing so well that I think a lot of people are going to be feeling it in their pockets in a good way. Their pockets are going to be fuller, and there's going to be less of this having to watch what I spend money on. So I think we're definitely moving in the right direction. How this transition occurs is kind of where my shakiness, I think, is, or at least I don't know how bad the transition will, affect us. We'll see how it comes down. But ultimately, that's why I believe in getting out of their system with my good friends at Goldco. Love those guys. And that's why DRS likes gold.com. It's a way to get out of their system and put your money into a place where it's protected for right now, and then we can worry about what happens in the future. Because I don't know how far that is. I know there's a lot of things that are happening, and there's a lot of things that are going to happen, and a lot of things that we need to kind of unite ourselves around. And so these are important things, and we'll see how this plays out over the next number of months or weeks and months for sure. But I love you guys. I'm going to stay with you every day, do my best to kind of help through this process. And I thank you guys for being a part. We do have a Texas show coming up. I'll get into the specifics again, but just reminding you guys, July 4th this year, on the Fringe, around the nation at gmail.com if you're going to be there. Otherwise, don't bother emailing. It's not mine. I don't manage that. They don't send anything to me. But on the Fringe, around the nation at gmail.com. If you're going to be in the Houston area or can be in the Houston area, July 4th this year, we're going to be doing a 2-hour live music show. Be a fun chance to meet and greet and have a good time with everybody. So hopefully you guys want to be a part of that. Let us know. We just want to make sure our venue's big enough. It's called 2-A-Days. Great venue. And so they've been very, very kind to have us there. And they are on Pearland Boulevard or Pearland Road in Houston. So if you're curious, that would be a great place to check out and see what you think. But it sounds like it's going to be a good place. It's got a stage up there and get to meet a bunch of you guys. And I don't know, it's going to be a lot of fun. Very much looking forward to it. So on the Fringe, around the nation at gmail.com. All right, I think that's all the public service announcement type stuff going on. I love you guys. We'll be talking soon. Got a show tomorrow. Where we go one, we go all. It's On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.